your burger, sir.
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. We've now exhausted what I'll call the good decks of the format, but 10-Minute Testing marches on, due in no small part to my Patreons. 1 week per month, they hold the reins in terms of what we examine, and as you can probably tell from the title of this video, they wanted Burger Deck. Presenting Nouvelles. So here's the list which Eric Johnson used last week to win the King of Prussia Regional. I'm kidding, no one plays this shit. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is a one-stop shop for all things Yu-Gi-Oh! They're responsible for the pack opener that makes series like Progression possible. They've got strategy articles for those looking to flesh out their fundamentals. They're the most complete repository of deck lists and results from regionals and YCSs online. And they've also got cube and draft infrastructure that's finally seeing use now that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players have come to the light of Limited. There's a good chance that any Yu-Gi-Oh! Content you see on YouTube has Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck's many tendrils somewhere within its DNA. So why not go to the source and improve your game, draft with friends, or just see what 11-year-olds are playing in their Blue Eyes decks this month? Head on over to YGOPRODECK.com. Now back to the video. With that, let's needle Nouvelles. Nouvelles is an archetype that could only exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! A 2002 ritual, Hungry Burger, had become a bit of an in-joke among Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. A relic of when Konami didn't know what they wanted cards to be, do, or look like, this animate sandwich has been a punchline for a while now. Sensing the opportunity to do the funniest thing possible, Konami pounced and released the Nouvelles, a series of French restaurateurs that cook with cursed ingredients, resulting in the demonically possessed dishes that make up the archetype, including Hungry Burger. After a first wave flop, they released more support in Duelist's Advance, a retrain of Hungry Burger, and a TCG exclusive generic ritual tool that just so happens to be right at home here. But what does the deck actually do? Well, mostly it punishes opponents for attempting to interact with you by laddering up a chain of increasingly more powerful patisserie, tributing opponents' attack position monsters on the way to the Grill Master himself. There are some fun quirks to this archetype. The cooks constantly pivot between the back of house, pendulum zones, and delivery. The starters clog your opponent's EMZ, and admittedly, the monsters are hard to deal with. Unfortunately, it's a little too telegraphed and a little too on rails to compete in a format where you're forced to be flexible, but that makes it perfect for a TMT. With that, let's get into the card by card. First up are Cooks, 3 copies of Chef de Nouvelles, which during your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, can add a non-pendulum Nouvelle from your deck to your hand, and if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can special summon this card. If this card in the field is distributed and added to the extra deck face up, you can put it in your pendulum zone, and once per turn as a quick effect, you can target an effect monster on the field, increase its level by up to 3. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can banish a recipe ritual spell from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and apply that card's activation effect that ritual summons a monster. Really important card in the deck, but most importantly, targets a monster on the field, which is going to proc all of your Nouvelle ritual effects, as you will see momentarily. 2 copies of Poissonnière de Nouvelles. If you control a ritual monster, you can target a monster on the field, special summon this card, then change that monster's battle position, another targeting effect that will proc your monsters. And as a monster, when normally special summoned, you can either add a level 1 ritual monster or a recipe from your deck to your hand, or banish any number of recipe cards from your graveyard and special summon a Nouvelle ritual monster from your hand with a level equal to the number banished. Both of those are hard ones per turns, and if this card is distributed and added to the extra deck face up, you can put it back into your pendulum zone. Importantly, neither of those effects are once per turn, the one on Poissonnière or the one on Chef, which means that they can just constantly pivot back. After that, we have got 2 copies of Angry Burger. This card is always treated as Hungry Burger, but we are playing Hungry Burger anyway. I don't think it's really optimal to also be playing the old version, but I would probably jump if I missed out on the opportunity to play a card that comes CR. Anyway, you can ritual summon this card with a recipe card. Monsters your opponent controls that can attack must attack, and they must attack this card. Once per turn, you can reveal this card in your hand to add a Nouvelle monster from your deck to your hand and shuffle this card into the deck. That's right, it's Incantation Chalice Line Burger. You contribute an attack position monster on either field as a quick, and if you do, special summon a Hungry Burger with 2,000 attack from your hand or deck. Importantly, of course, it can't get itself because it's got 2,800. That means the boy has to be back in the list if you want to be able to activate that effect. A little win more, but a lot funny. With respect to the first wave nonsense, we are playing the old 6, 5, 4, 3, and 1, alongside 1 copy of Miracle Raven. Once per turn during your main phase as a pendulum effect, you can ritual summon this card by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose levels equal or exceed 1. And you can ritual summon this card with Miracle Raven. Strange. Must be ritual summoned. This ritual summoned card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, and if you ritual summon exactly one ritual monster with a card effect that requires use of monsters, this can just be the entire tribute. If this card is tributed for a ritual summon, you can add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand. It's just so unbelievable. After that, we've got 3 copies of Diviner and 1 copy of Dogmatica Maximus, searchable off of our Nadir Servant. We've got 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites, 3 copies of Voici la carte, which roughly translates to, let me get a reveal 2 Nouvelles monsters with different names from your deck. Your opponent chooses one for you to add to your hand. Then you shuffle the other into the deck. Then you can add one of these cards from your deck or graveyard to your hand based on the monster type added to your hand by this effect. For a Beast Warrior, you get Recette de Poisson, and for a Warrior, you get Recette de Viande. That is a hard once per turn, but it is funny that ordering is part of the setup combo. 3 copies of Concours de Cuisine. Choose a Nouvelle Pendulum monster and a Pâtisselle Pendulum monster from your hand deck or extra deck. Special summon both monsters, one to each field. Also, you can't use monsters as material for a fusion, synchro exceeds, or link summon except for Nouvelles and Pâtisselle. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard or target a face-up monster on the field that gains 200 attack for each recipe card in the graveyard. Only important thing there is that it targets. This card's interesting because it clogs your opponent's EMZ as long as you use the weird TCG exclusive pastry chef card that is necessary for a lot of decks to get rid of if they want to actually play the game. Yummy in particular, especially if they've activated Obedience Schooled. We've got Recette de Viande, Recette de Poisson, and the new Nouvelle recipe book, Recette de Nouvelles. While you control a Nouvelle monster card, all face-up monsters your opponent controls are changed to attack position, and each time a monster is tributed by a ritual monster's effect, your opponent pays 850 life points. That's right, they have to pay the bill. Once per turn, if you special summon a ritual monster, you can target one of them, add a recipe or Nouvelle from your deck to your hand, except a continuous spell, and if you do, increase that monster's level by 1. We're playing 1 copy of A Table and 1 copy of Chef's Special Recipe, alongside our non-engine 3 Ash Blossom Joyspring and 3 Fulos. In the extra, we've got Nal Mirage, an SP Little Knight, a Farigite, a Dynamondo, a Shureg the Ominous Omen, a Little Fucko, Mirror Logic Aggregator, Typhon Sky Crisis, Double Herald of the Arclight, Mei Long, Entis. These are sends off of Dogmatica Maximus. 2 copies of Pâtissielle. Her effect doesn't matter. She just is in here for the card. And 1 Karura. On the side, we've got 3 Dino Wrestler, Pankratops, 3 Lancia, 3 Droll, 3 Evenly Matched, and 3 Solemn Judgments. So with that, let's check out some games. Our first match is up against Yummy Cupsy Wupsy, and we're going first into just 1 piece of non-engine. We could do something here. We'll begin with a copy of The Confrontation, getting ourselves a copy of Poissonnière and them a Pâtissielle. They will song as the Dominators this, no big deal. Let's just go to main phase and make it happen. We'll begin by scaling our copy of Chef de Nouvelle. We will activate the effect of the Chef in order to grab ourselves a copy of A Table. We'll activate A Table in order to grab a Recette de Poisson, which we will activate setting our on-field monster for a Boulier base. Boulier base allows us to look at the top couple of cards of our deck. We will do that and rescale our woman. Thankfully, we do find 1 target there at the bitter end, a second copy of Poissonnière. We're going to go for the effect of the Poissonnière, targeting our monster, then the effect of the Boulier base, tributing our opponent's monster for a Politis. We'll summon out the Poissonnière, then the Politis effect in order to go ahead and grab an Angry Burger. The effect in the graveyard of the Culinary Confrontation, enabling it to ladder up into Ballumiere, tributing our copy of Poissonnière, which we can reset. After that, we'll just set a couple of cards and pass back to our opponent, activating the end step effect of A Table in order to draw a card as well. That might be useful for next turn. Our opponent's going to lead Engage. We will fire off the Chef's Special Recipe. Afterwards, they're going to normal summon a Cupsy Yummy. Because it's in attack position, we will just go ahead and tribute it for a Bale Grill de Nouvelle. They're going to go for an Obedience Schooled. We'll go for Ash. They'll go for Called By. We'll go for our set copy of Culinary Confrontation, summoning the second Pâtissielle to our opponent's side of the field, which means at resolution, they will be able to summon a whole bunch of monsters to their side of the field, but oh no, they can't get them off. From here, we'll activate the effect of the Chef de Nouvelle to summon itself, and they'll activate Yummy Surprise in order to bounce our monsters and theirs, so they have follow-up. Okay, so we do have to kill them this turn. They'll go to end step, and we will lose this copy of Lollipoo off of the Obedience School. Let's begin with the meat recipe. We will go for Recette de Viande in order to summon Ballumiere. We will set this copy of Chef de Nouvelle, and then we'll activate the Nouvelle recipe book. From this position, we can tribute their attack position monster, go for the Bale Grill, then activate the effect of the recipe book in order to grab another monster. We'll go pre-prep here, then afterwards we can just go ahead and activate Recette de Poisson in order to summon out the Boulier base. We'll activate its effect, finding off the top. Nothing, because Angry Burger is not a Nouvelle for some reason. Okay, whatever. Let's go for a meat recipe next. We'll go for the Foie Gras, and then activate its effect in order to shuffle 3 from our opponent's graveyard back into the deck. We'll activate the Culinary Confrontation, pumping our Bale Grill, and I'm doing math here. I think this is enough. 2 plus 22 plus 3. Woof. All right. So that's how the deck performs on the play, but what does it do on the draw? Well, not too much. It's actually quite difficult to push through anything with these cards. Let me show you in a game versus Crystron Canine, a deck that's gotten very popular recently. They're going to begin with a copy of Case for Canine. That will grab them access to Yokel. They already have the Lantern in hand. They'll go for Yokel and Sulfefnir here. Yokel effect is going to get them an Izuna. Then afterwards they can overlay for a Ripper. They'll activate the effect of the Ripper in order to grab them another Case as they go for Lantern in order to get back that copy of Yokel. From here, Lantern will trigger in order to grab them Alphafication, and it's River Stormer time. Don't tell peeps. They're going to grab a copy of Scrap Recycler to hand, which they will use the normal on. That's going to enable them to send a copy of that one into Clockwork Knight, target the Scrap Recycler, bring it back, then activate its on-field effect in order to send another one of that. They'll activate its effect, and afterwards they will grab an Inclusion, pop an Inclusion for a Sulfefnir, then trigger the Sulfefnir off its own pop in order to grab a Sulfador. Sulfador here enables them to send a couple of cards here, an Inclusion and a Tristeros. Inclusion targeting Tristeros, and then go into an Eleskeletus. This grabs them the Inclusion back, and the Tristeros enables them to pop that for a Sulfefnir and a Citri, which enables them to trigger the Eleskeletus effect to bring back the Tristeros. Finally, Inclusion enables them to get the Cluster. Sulfador can pop the Inclusion, and we can overlay for a Cyber Dragon Nova into a Cyber Dragon Infinity set 2. Horrifying stuff. We'll draw for turn, just a little too late. We will go for the effect of our Culinary Confrontation. They will go for the CDI, and the effect of the Citri to enable a Dawn Dragster. Oh, that's just awful. Let's normal summon a copy of Diviner. We will send an Entis to the graveyard, targeting the Dawn Dragster. They'll go Ripper and chain the effect of Force Release, so they do get to the Werewolf in order to send this bad girl as well. From here, you can Voici la carte, but unfortunately their Dawn Dragster is still online, so we'll go for Nadir afterwards, to which our opponent will respond with Werewolf. We do get to send Maylong. We'll trigger the Maylong effect in order to target the Tristeros, and we can Ash the Tristeros as well. Is that everything? Well, everything but the SP. Let's go for the Dogmatic Maximus, then we will just fall victim to the cluster. Right, okay, yeah, of course, there was still interaction. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent for this is playing Vanquish Soul K9. Our hand looks pretty good. We are going second, though, so we are going to have to contest this Holly Sue Open. They're going to go Holly Sue into Raisin, trigger the effect of the Raisin in order to grab themselves a Vanquish Soul, into Mad Love effect, grabbing the Snow Devil. They already have start, so they will start, target the Holly Sue, and then afterwards they can go for a Heavy Borgar, targeting the Mad Love in order to summon it to their side of the field. Heavy Borgar effect, revealing the Mad Love in order to draw a card, and because we revealed Xiaolong triggers, let's overlay for a copy of Ripper. Ripper effect is going to grab them from deck to hand, a copy of Izuna, into Rocket the Vanquisher, which enables them to add back their monster from yard. They'll set the Snow Devil and pass back to us, then draw a card off of this Heavy Borgar immediately. We're going to go for the Culinary Confrontation before they draw Ash, but unfortunately they already had it, which means we're just going to have to go ahead and normal summon this copy of Poissonniere. They're going to go for the Rocket the Vanquisher, which is summoning out a Raisin. We will go ahead and grab a card, at which point they will activate Raisin to get a Xiaolong, and we will Angry Burger. We'll shuffle a card back, then set Chef. They will Caesar Valius, popping back the Raisin, and then at point of resolution, we'll activate the effect of the Chef into the effect of the on-field Caesar, which will pop it. Horrible stuff. We can still go for Nadir, send this copy of Entis. Entis target the field spell. They will Ripper in response. We can go for Dogmatic Maximus in order to maybe send more stuff, but they can always go for Izuna in order to trigger its on-field effect, send Lupus, and we will Dogmatic Maximus before they have a chance to chain. Let's send a couple of cards. Here, a way to get to a Ritual and a Garura. We'll draw a card and add a card as they go Lupus into Nash Knight. We'll activate Fish Recipe and tribute the Dogmatic Maximus for a Bale Grill. Bale Grill triggers here. They'll activate Nash. We'll activate Bale Grill to go into Angry Burger, and they get to Nash suck up the Angry Burger. Horrible. We'll go Miracle Raven, and that forces them to finally pull the trigger on the Snow Devil, but unfortunately we don't have an answer for it. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad game 1, but game 2 is looking a little more interesting. They have a copy of Bestial Magnamut, a Fuelos, and an Ash Blossom alongside a Lantern and the Trap card. That looks like 3 hand craps and 2 non-card sharders here. We're going to let that Fuelos resolve because I ain't going into the extra. Let's go for a Disciple of the Nadir, draw a card off our Garura, and that's a nice one. Diviner here is going to eat an Ash, and the Garura is going to be et by the Bestial Magnamut. Okay, well, no Dogmatic Maximus for us, I suppose. Let's go for the Angry Burger. That's going to grab us a copy of Chef. We can Chef here, and Chef is going to enable us to grab an Atable. We'll go for the Nouvelles book and then activate Atable in order to grab the Recette de Viande, which we will use in order to tribute the Dogmatic Maximus for a Baluminiere. We'll trigger the effect of the Recette as well and grab ourselves the Fish Recipe, which we'll activate in order to summon the Bulliera base. We can trigger the effect of Diviner here as well in order to summon a Poissonniere from deck. That gets them 1 draw, but that's not too bad. We'll find off the Bulliera base. Oh my goodness, a ton of stuff here. I guess we'll be taking the Poletis. We'll activate the effect of the Poissonniere in order to grab the Counter Trap and the Baluminiere in order to tribute our opponent's monster in order to summon a Bale Grill from deck. At this point, I'm not really concerned about how many they draw because we're so ahead. We'll proceed to end step and use the effect of Nouvelle Restaurant à Table. They're going to grab a Caesar Valius and draw for turn. It's a Raisin, so they're going to begin with a Stake Your Soul. That's going to eat an Ash Blossom. Afterwards, they're going to go ahead and normal summon the Raisin. They'll activate the Raisin effect. We will Chef Special Recipe, which closes the chain. Great news for us, forcing them to just set one and pass. And correct me if I'm wrong, they do have all three typings. We will go for the Diviner of the Herald into Entis, force out the Snow Devil early, and unfortunately, we will take all of it. 4, 6, 8, and they'll activate the effect of the Snow Devil, wiping our board. We can activate Chef here in order to summon itself, and the effect of a tablet as well. That's going to be Et by Ash Blossom. We'll go for Recette de Viande next in order to get the Politis in hand, and we'll trigger both it and the effect of Chef, and the effect of Nouvelle, and the effect of our Politis because it's been targeted. We will go for the Foie Glas, and now they are on nothing as we plus to infinity. Foie Glas is going to shuffle back our monsters this time, so we still have ways to ladder. Then we can pre-prep in order to get a copy of Recette de Poisson, set the Poissonnière, and Pendulum summon out the woman. Doesn't happen too often, but when it does, it's very funny. We'll activate her effect to get to Boulière base by banishing a ritual spell from our graveyard, and we'll find off the top a copy of Balumiere as well. Let's go into a Dynamondo and get in for 16 and 22. From this position, it's going to be hard to lose, but I'm sure I can find a way. We'll shuffle a couple of cards back and draw, and they will draw for turn as well. Izuna's nice. It's pretty good. They're going to lead Lantern. We will go for Dynamondo in order to special summon out the Politis. We'll activate both the Politis and the Nouvelle Recipe Book, which triggers the Politis. They take 850, and we'll summon out the Balumiere, grab ourselves a copy of Bale Grill. Balumiere will trigger in order to grab us a card as well, and they will scoop it up. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and Ash Blossom, don't fail me now. God, what is it about Game 3s and my opponent finding there can be only one? They're going to begin with a copy of Rhoda, normal summon a Raisin, then activate the Raisin effect. We will just go ahead and Ash Blossom this, and thankfully we are paid in full for our willingness to shotgun that Ash. They're going to go for a Rocket the Vanquisher in order to cycle back this copy of Raisin, then Yokel in order to grab an Izuna. From here, they can overlay for a Ripper, activate the Ripper effect, and grab themselves a copy of Lantern, setting an Alphification. Lantern here, targeting the Yokel Engrave, brings it back, enabling them to overlay for a Valon. Then they'll activate the Izuna, case for K9 in order to grab a Lupus, and then Lupus effect to summon it to their side of the field, finishing off with a Nash Knight and a set Teekboo. We'll draw for turn. Oh my god, that's unbelievable. They're going to lead Forced Release in order to go into Werewolf, and then Rocket the Vanquisher in order to special a Vanquish Soul. Raisin is going to add them a Mad Love, and Nash Knight will trigger as well in order to target the Raisin and suck it up. We'll go Battle. They're going to go Werewolf in order to take one of the cards, but we'll eat everything but the back row. Let's normal summon a Diviner of the Herald. That's going to be Entis to force the Teekboo off. And then, oh my god, we might just do it with Disciple of the Nadir. Let's draw off the Garura. That's a really good one. We will go for Dogmatic Maximus, activating its effect to send 2. And what do you know? It's just going to get us access to Miracle Raven. Let's Voici la carte. They're going to give us a Boulière base and a copy of Poisson. Then we'll activate Miracle Raven to summon itself, trigger the effect of the Herald, and summon out a Poissonnière de Nouvelle. We'll activate its effect in order to get us access to the Recette de Nouvelle. Then we'll activate the Poisson, summon out the Boulière base, try and find something off the top, target it with the Recette, and trigger the effect of the Miracle Raven as well. We're just going plus infinity at this point. Let's see what we grab off the top, and Chef is just icing on the cake. Let's just set that boy in the pendulum scales, grab ourselves a table, activate a table. We will activate the Recette de Viande, make a Bale Grill, and end our turn. We'll shuffle a couple of cards back and draw, and then pass back to an opponent who is just on Mad Love Stake Your Soul. They're going to begin Stake Your Soul. That's a pretty fortuitous draw. Go Heavy Borgar here. It's switched to attack. We'll go Chef de Nouvelle. We'll go Bale Grill, and they'll go Heavy Borgar effect. We'll force them to pay 850 for our Angry Burger, and they will draw a card. Yokel here is not bad. We're going to go for Recette de Nouvelle, targeting the Angry Burger. They're going to normal summon this copy of Mad Love. We will Chef, targeting the Boulière base and the Boulière base effect in order to tribute our opponent's monster and tag into the Politis. They are going to be able to grab Start, but it does almost nothing here. We'll Politis for Foolos, and they'll scoop it up. Oh my god, we won a Game 3. So we're back with the deck, and delicious. Let's chow down on some pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The Nouvelle cards in Duad tighten up some of the weaknesses the deck previously had. Chef gives the deck a great searcher and plays on the opponent's turn by ritual summoning after they special summon. Recipe Book forces all your opponent's monsters to attack, a common problem that Nouvelle now overcomes. 2. Culinary Confrontation has a pretty specific niche in this format. Due to the way that Yummy works, you can summon a Patissiel into their EMZ on their side of the field, chained to Obedience Schooled, and completely cut them off from any plays. They can't make their Link 1, and there are no beasts in the extra deck they can make with 3 level 1 Yummy monsters and a level 5 fusion. And 3, it's confusing as all hell to play against. Opponents are constantly going to walk into onboard tricks just because of how hard it is to keep it under control. And the cons. One, it's a ritual deck. You know what that means. You are going to have to search a lot. And that means you're eternally cursed to lose to Droll on your first search unless you drew 4 engine pieces. 2, your Nouvelles ritual effects all summon from hand or deck, which means that Ash Blossom will stop the ritual climbing and end you on a single interrupt. And 3, the engine is not great at pushing into interaction. Pens minus you and rituals minus you, and you're a penned deck and a ritual deck, which means you're basically relying entirely on non-engine to foot the bill. Overall, the new Nouvelles cards are a great garnish to a poorly cooked up deck. Maybe the next wave will spice things up. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching. These 10-minute testings are made possible by, and occasionally suggested by, my patrons, some of whom have paid a lot of money to be mentioned at the end of the episode. Here are them now. Elena Tincher, Allison Elliott, Ally, APK Pearly Tier 0, Brett Henry, Captive XC, Cool Name, Damon O'Neill, Dark Rebel XYZ, DJ Elefante, El Gravo, El Guacho Malas Opiniones, Emiliano De Verino, NB Adams, Fabrizio Petroli, Felix, Garrett Rand, Hergalicious, John Paradise, Night Mary, Legal Rights, Lucas Rosas, Luis Hernandez, Master Key 090, Matthew M. Derezzo, MBT Play Madolce, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nacho Gonzalez, Pombo, Project Mercury, Rants Are My Thing, Rohan Doge, Rose Lapine, Serpentax, Sly Ninja 43, Soul CLG, Troy Says By Erasure Is Gay, Buznik, Yuki Kazami, and Zircon Sun. Couldn't have done it without you.